My name is Shuo. I'm a postdoctoral fellow supported by Western University and the Oil and Gas and Salt Resources Library. And my talk today is the porosity and permeability variation and evolution in the Silurian Lockport Group in southwestern Ontario. So this talk summarizes the last year's work on the compilation and assessment of porosity and permeability data with the deeper subsurface of the Lockport Group and its replacement into the refined stratigraphic framework. The main purpose of this project is to compile, assess, and plot the geospatial and statistical analysis of these core test results in southwestern Ontario. And the map on the right shows the top surface of the Lockport Group and highlights the distribution of the pinnacle structures in the Leapfrog 3D model. The lithostratigraphic chart on the left provides a general perspective of the variable thickness and regional distribution of the Lockport Group, which comprises 4 formations, including the Gasport, Gold Island, Aramosa, and Guelph formations from bottom to top. The blue vertical lines show that the Lockport Group is the most significant potable water resources in southwestern Ontario. And as you look to the west in the deeper subsurface, where our porosity and permeability data is derived, the Lockport Group pinnacles and the ramp carbonates are among the most significant oil and gas reservoirs, as well as the formational brines. So in terms of the geological setting, there are 2 interpretations of the depositional environments of the Lockport. Previous studies indicate the Lockport Group as a broad carbonate platform dips northwesterly into the subsiding Michigan Basin and southeasterly into the Appalachian Foreland Basin. The pinnacle structures were referred to as the Guelph reefs that grew as the subsidence was taking place. But recent studies by the OGS reveal that much of the strata in the so-called pinnacle reefs formed not only by the Guelph formations, but also the strata below, including the Gold Island and Gasport formations. And the sedimentary structures, paleokarst horizons, and diagenetic fabrics all point to a shallow water ramp deposition. So a revised model is followed here, where it shows the Lockport Group represents the deposition on an easterly dipping, intermittently and tectonically active carbonate ramp. Data for this project is from the core analysis database compiled by the OGSRL library staff in 2018. It includes a total of 150 core wells marked by the red dots in the map that covers part or all of the Lockport Group and the Lower Salina Group with more than 11,000 porosity and permeability datasets. The data density is variable, and the data gaps occur between the deeper subsurface and the shallow subcrop area, where the OGS have published regional subsurface data marked by the green dots. And also, 39 out of the 150 wells have been selected as key cores for detailed logging. Documentation includes the interpreting depositional features, lithofacies, faunas, diagenetic features in order to better relate to the porosity and permeability variations. So based on the lithofacies analysis, the study area has been subdivided into 3 broad depositional realms. Area 1 and Area 2 is where the pinnacle structures occur. It represents the inner to mid-ramp setting with mixed lagoonal muddy environments to more open marine cyclic deposition tracing southeasterly. And Area 3 represents the middle to outer carbonate ramp where the karstification is rare and the pinnacle structure is absent. And this picture shows the tower-like features that are called the pinnacle structures in Lockport. Note that the height of these structures are exaggerated. And within the pinnacle structures in Area 1, the Lockport Group comprises a Gasport foundational succession and is overlain by the Gold Island carbonate ramp lithofacies and capped by the fossiliferous lower Guelph and the variably karstic upper Guelph formation. It usually sealed by the brecciated A1 carb mixed evaporites and the microbialites into the A2. Within the interpinnacle Lockport Group succession, it displays a highly karstic rubbly texture in Guelph formation with thickness less than 10 meters. So these pinnacle structures have long been called the pinnacle reefs due to the genetic interpretation of them, representing a deeper water reef bounds that grew on a slope with up to 100 to 200 meters in the center of Michigan Basin. But recent core logging results support the cartoon model showing in the lower right that these pinnacle structures are digenetic karstic landforms comprising erosional remnants of the Lockport Group rather than a constructional reefal structure that grew in the deeper water. The core photos on the left is an example from the pinnacle structures. Although it looks fossiliferous, the corals do not form the solid framework as reef builders, and there are no distinctive microbial fabrics as cements to support a mud mound or reef mound genesis for the entire 3D structure. So actually, the Guelph Formation is a karstic breccia caliche paleosoil unit that reflects an extended period of karstification at the end of the deposition of Lockport Group. So from this slide, I'm going to show some examples from the wells in the database in different areas and oil and gas pools. So this is a pool formed by the 3D pinnacle structure with its paleokarstic upper portions posting highly variable porosity and permeability values. The porosity and permeability plots show that the variation in this pinnacle structure is quite high. The porosity is between 1 to 27%, and the maximum horizontal permeability is between 0.01 to 1,000 million Darcy. And the three charts on right show the relationships of the porosity and the logarithmic horizontal permeability that match a general linear fitting except for the A1 carb in the well in the middle. It is possible that the permeability is influenced by the presence of evaporites in A1 carb. So this is still from the same pool. The red columns mark the initial oil and gas zones, which covers the A1 carb to Guelph. What should be noticed is that the right two wells have thicker Guelph, with coral stromatopyrite skeletal floatstone dominates the lower Guelph, and this forms the core fishes in the pool. The oil and gas reservoir is capped by the A2 unit, and well to the left has thinner Guelph with skeletal algal wacky stone to mudstone dominates the lower Guelph with various karstic intervals. So this well is near the edge of the karstic landform. Diagenetic dissolution features are very common in the upper Guelph marked by LF4. And A1 carbonate maintains a high porosity that forms the uppermost part of the reservoir. Within the interpinnacle karst area, there is a great thinning of all formations in Lockport Group. The Guelph Formation is less than 10 meters and capped by the algal laminites of the Salina group A0, shown in the photo. The highly karstic features occur in the Guelph, including the karst rubbles, the karstic conduits, and recrystalline cements shown in the photo, which means the whole Guelph Formation has been dissolved into a thin unit. And the regional porosity in this unit is relatively lower than those in the pinnacle structures. It is from 2% to 13%. Tracing southwestward into Area 3 in the lake area, the pinnacle structures are rare and the thickness of the Lockport is regionally consistent. The natural gas pools have formed in Allegan County and Western Lake Erie. So this is an example from the gas pool. The initial gas penetrates the A2 unit to the top of the Gold Island Formation. And in this pool, the variability is moderate. The porosity ranges from 1 to 16%, and the horizontal permeability from 0.1 to 1,000 million Darcy. Previous studies only recognized the Guelph Formation as the gas play zone. But in this case, the Gold Island Formation also has the generally high porosity and forms the lower part of the gas play. So possibly this is caused by the occurrence of stromatopyrite coral skeletal boundstone that forms the mounding fishes in the Gold Island Formation. And as we move northeasterly from the Pinnacle region, no oil and gas shows occur in the Lockport Group. And in this area, the Guelph Formation thins to 12 to 15 meters, while the Gold Island Formation thickens variably from 20 meters to 35 meters. The average porosity is usually less than 10%, and the permeability is lower than 1 million Darcy. So this is quite a dense zone in this area. The three figures on the left show the top of Gasport, Gold Island, and Guelph formations from a 3D leapfrog model layers published last year. And the three figures on the right show the EPEX maps with weighted average porosity estimates marked by the percentage number for the three formations. The green polygon reflects the Silurian oil and gas pools, and the color map reflects the thickness of each formation. So the darker the color is, the thicker the formation is. And we can see that the data are very sparse in the Gasport formation. But what should be noticed is that the gas pools in Western Lake Erie near the southern end follow the thicker Gasport formation, although no data is available to further explore this relationship. And for Gold Island Formation in Area 3, the average porosity value is higher when the Gold Island Formation is thicker. As you can see, the gas pools in Elgin and Western Lake Erie follow a thick Gold Island Formation. And in Area 1, the pinnacle structures have the highest average porosity for all three formations, and the interpinnacle areas, it has the lowest values. So in summary, the porosity and permeability variations of the Lockport group correlate well with the architecture and thickness variations in the pinnacle structures in Area 1. And within the pinnacle structures where the Lockport group is thick, the average porosity and permeability values are highest that forms the potential oil and gas pools. And the oil and gas producing intervals include the A1 carb and the Guelph formations that's sealed by the A2 unit. And in Area 3, the regional porosity and permeability distribution is controlled by a variety of factors, including the lithofacies, the textural variations, and diagenetic history. The higher porosity values correspond with the reef mount facies and the local thickening of the strato units. And the gas-producing interval may include the A1 carb, the Guelph, and the Gold Island formations. Thank you, everyone. So I'll be available at the discussion panel to answer questions.